Greetings and welcome aboard Zach Back's Carousel of Theme Parks podcast. Now, most carousels just go round and round without getting anywhere, but on this one, we'll be talking theme parks. And now, here's your host, Zach Back. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the first official episode of our podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be exploring the stories and details of a world-famous theme park here in North America known as Dollywood. This theme park's located in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains and has become well known around the world for being the theme park owned by Dolly Parton. Now we're going to explore the history of this park, where it started, and how its roots have grown through the years to create what is there today. Now, as mentioned in that introductory podcast, the way that these episodes will be structured is that the first portion of the episode will be the history or stories of that week's particular theme park. So whatever that park happens to be, it will be about the history and stories of the park. The second section of the episode will be more about the visiting of the theme park. So it's whenever I visit or what I would like to see when I visit, if I've never visited before, that kind of thing. And we'll just kind of chat about the theme park. That's really the goal of the second part, is just to talk about some of those histories, those secret shenanigans, things that you can do in the park, whatever it may be. That's kind of what that second part's going to be about. And then we'll also have some other episodes kind of sprinkled in there in other places that will not be about the history of the park, and it'll be just a chat episode. Whether it's about updates or new things or news or something, we'll look into that in the future. But I hope that you enjoy this episode. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right in to the history of Dollywood. So of all of the regional theme parks in the United States, only a few have become leaders in their respective regions. Amongst the Mideastern and Southeastern United States, one particular theme park has made its mark and is not owned by the Walt Disney Company or Universal. This park is simply known as Dollywood. Dollywood has become a staple of family vacations for just over 40 years. Back in 1986, Dolly Parton once christened the park as the friendliest town in the Smokies. The story and history of not only her partial ownership of a theme park, but the history that stood on the grounds even through the early parts of her career truly set the park apart as one of America's most unique theme park attractions. The history of this park actually starts in 1961 with an attraction called Rebel Railroad. The Robbins brothers from North Carolina of Tweetsie Railroad operated a small-scale attraction that featured a coal-fired steam train named Klondike Katy, a general store, a blacksmith shop, and a saloon for visitors to enjoy. Its theme was inspired by the 100th anniversary of the Civil War, and let riders on the train experience attacks by Union soldiers, train robbers, and Indians, using real guns loaded with blanks. The Robbins brothers had indeed created a winning formula. Visitors were intrigued by the Smoky Mountain way of life, and vacationers were eager to catch a glimpse of what Rebel Railroad had to offer. Little did the Robbins brothers know that they were laying the groundwork for what would later become Tennessee's most visited attraction. In 1970, Rebel Railroad underwent a change in ownership and name when it was purchased by Art Modell, then owner of the NFL's Cleveland Browns. Under new ownership, Rebel Railroad was renamed Gold Rush Junction and was touted as Tennessee's million-dollar fun attraction. Though the name had changed, the experience was unaltered. Actually, Gold Rush Junction began to expand. Visitors still enjoyed the 5-mile train ride into the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, complete with mock Indian attacks and train robberies. New attractions, including a wood shop and a sawmill, were added in a nod to the area's rich history as a logging community. Further additions included an outdoor theater, log cabins, a campground, and several children's rides. Gold Rush Junction visitors could pan for gold, stop by the Lady Gay Saloon, which featured live entertainment, and ride the log flume, which had been relocated to Gold Rush Junction from the New York World's Fair. In 1973, the Robert F. Thomas Church was constructed, named for a well-known doctor in the Sevier County area. The Robert F. Thomas Church represented the strength and devotion of this Appalachian community to its Christian values. Later on, the Robert F. Thomas Church would have a strong link to a very well-known Sevier County native. Visitors continued to flock to this attraction located just outside the entrance to the Great Smoky Mountains. For a single season in 1976, Gold Rush Junction was simply known as Gold Rush. In 1977, the park would undergo yet another name change as well as a change in ownership. Jack and Pete Hershend of the Branson-based Hershend Enterprises purchased Gold Rush, and it would now be known as Silver Dollar City, Tennessee. The Hershend family wasn't new to the attractions industry. Jack and Pete were born to Danish immigrant Hugo Hershend and his Chicago-born wife Mary. Together, the family had often traveled to Marvel Cave, Missouri's deepest, which had been opened to tourists in 1894 by the Lynch family. In 1950, the Hershend family entered into an agreement to lease Marvel Cave from the Lynch family. They quickly cemented their commitment to expand the area with an early 1950s purchase of 640 acres around the cave. Hugo and Mary continued plans to transform Marvel Cave into a major tourist attraction. Although Hugo passed away in 1955, Mary, Jack, and Pete moved forward and began work on a cave train project. In 1958, their hard work was rewarded with the inaugural run of the world's only underground passenger cable train at that time. On May 1st, 1960, what had previously been known as Marvel Cave now marked its opening day as Silver Dollar City in Branson. The theme park featured 5 frontier-style buildings, a blacksmith shop, general store, ice cream parlor, doll shop, and the Stagecoach Inn, as well as 2 reconstructed log buildings, the Wilderness Church and the McAfee Homestead. Local entertainers played hillbilly music, while the Hatfields and McCoys revived their legendary feud on Main Street. Employees costumed in 1880s attire became the citizens of Silver Dollar City. As for the theme park's name, it traces its origin to the 1960s when folks paid for everything in cash. The Hershends were encouraged to use silver dollars as change for transactions in the park. Thus, when vacationers spent the coins elsewhere and were asked where they had gotten the coins, they would reply, Silver Dollar City. The Hershends took the advice, appropriately coining the phrase Silver Dollar City. With Silver Dollar City Branson up and running, the Hershend Corporation expanded into other themed entertainment ventures, including whitewater water parks, the showboat Branson Belle, which is an exquisite paddle boat featuring dinner and entertainment, and the Grand Village Shopping Complex in Branson. The Hershend family was the proud owner of a new winning concept. They captured the very heart and soul of the late 1800s Appalachian people and their communities, while also preserving the history and traditions of the area. With the success of Silver Dollar City Branson well in hand, the Hershend brothers looked eastward to their next endeavor. Upon acquiring Gold Rush in 1977, the Hershend brothers contributed more than $1 million in improvements on the way to opening Silver Dollar City, Tennessee in Pigeon Forge. Intent upon showcasing the craftsmanship of the Smoky Mountain region, guests entered near the park's train trestle, passed under the train tracks, and entered Craftsman's Valley. The area was filled with talented artisans, including blacksmiths, wood carvers, leathersmiths, and lye soap makers, who showcased their crafts while demonstrating their trades. This year saw the creation of the Flooded Mine, a boat ride, then Blazing Fury in 1978, which is an indoor tracked ride designed entirely in-house by Silver Dollar City. In 1979, the park constructed the Inventor's Mansion, a static walk-through attraction near the front entrance of the park, above a cave that connected the sections of the park together. The park experienced significant growth over the next decade of operation, including the addition of rides, shops, more craftsmen, shows, and attractions like the Silver Dollar Gristmill, which was completed in 1983 and became the first working gristmill in Tennessee in more than 100 years. The Herschend brothers never compromised their commitment to the preservation of the Smoky Mountains heritage and traditions. In 1980, the park broadened its appeal as it expanded beyond Craftsman's Valley and the train depot with the addition of several rides. Silver Dollar City enjoyed steady growth in attendance, and new additions to the park were made throughout the early 1980s. However, the Herschend brothers soon welcomed another much-loved and recognizable East Tennessee tradition to the mix. Singer-songwriter and actress Dolly Parton, a Sevier County, Tennessee native and entertainment superstar, joined the Herschends in theme park business in 1986. Not only would Dolly share her entertainment expertise and her love of the Great Smoky Mountains, she would also share her name, as what had been Silver Dollar City opened in 1986 as Dollywood. Since 1986, Dolly Parton and Herschend Family Enterprises have remained partners in Dollywood, Tennessee's most visited tourist attraction. Dollywood also ranks in the top 50 most attended theme parks worldwide. The park is more than doubled in size now, encompassing 150 acres. Dollywood also experienced tremendous increases in attendance, drawing 1.3 million visitors in 1986, an increase of approximately 75% as compared to Silver Dollar City's last season in 1985. Dollywood consistently entertains more than 2 million visitors annually, a 54% increase over its inaugural 1986 season, and a 160% increase over its 1985 attendance. In the years since the Dollywood name has graced the theme park's main entrance, more than $110 million in expansions and additions are now visible as a result of Dollywood's ongoing commitment to offering guests something new each season. And several old favorites continue to welcome guests, including Klondike Katy, a 110-ton coal-fired steam train built in 1943 that still roams the tracks through the foothills of the Smoky Mountains. And the Robert F. Thomas Chapel remains, but its significance to the park grew stronger after Dolly joined the family. It was Dr. Robert F. Thomas, the local Sevier County doctor, who one day delivered the fourth of 12 children to Lee and Avi Lee Parton, Dolly Rebecca Parton. Throughout the 1980s, additional areas of the park were upgraded, expanded, or replaced. At that time, the park was split into 4 themed areas: Craftsman's Valley, Rivertown Junction, Village Square, and Fun Country. These areas remain to this day, but have changed names in more recent history. Once the partnership began with Dolly Parton, Dollywood blossomed and began an almost constant state of growth, beginning with that very first season. Let us take a journey through the years of Dollywood and hit on the high points of its history thus far. In its first year of operation, Dollywood unveiled an entire new area called Rivertown Junction, featuring the park's most visited restaurant, Aunt Granny's, named from the nickname by which Dolly's nieces and nephews call her, Dolly's Tennessee Mountain Home, the 450-seat Back Porch Theater, home of the popular Kinsfolk show, and the Smoky Mountain River Rampage, a thrilling whitewater rafting adventure ride. Additionally, the Inventor's Mansion was replaced with a new museum attraction, Rags to Riches: The Dolly Parton Story. After this inaugural year, the rest of the late 1980s saw park staples built such as the Celebrity Theater and the park's first roller coaster, known as Thunder Express, in Craftsman's Valley, which cost $8 million to build at that time. The 90s was a decade of stability and slow and steady growth with a few big moments. The park installed its now infamous antique carousel, built in 1924 by Denzel Carousels, and then removed it after 9 years and replaced it with a Chance Rides carousel, which remains to this day. Beyond this, the decade also brought the Eagle Mountain Sanctuary, a 1.5 million cubic foot natural outdoor aviary, home to the world's largest presentation of non-releasable bald eagles. Also added next door was the Wings of America Theater and the Birds of Prey show. The Valley Theater was also opened around this time. One of the largest changes happened in 1992 when the park moved its main entrance from its Rivertown Junction location to create Show Street, which included another new theater, the Show Street Palace Theater. This decade also created WDLY, the well-known park radio station. Additionally, Fun Country became the Country Fair, which it remains to this day. This is also when the park's Wonder Wheel Ferris wheel was added, which is featured in photos with Dolly riding it. The wheel was removed in approximately 2017. We also saw expansions including Jukebox Junction, Dollywood Boulevard, later known as Adventures in Imagination, and now the Dolly Parton Experience, Daredevil Falls, Daydream Ridge, and in 1999, Dollywood added the Aerodynamics $8 million Tennessee Tornado, the world's first spiral loop coaster featuring back-to-back 360-degree loops, lovingly known as the Butterfly Loop, and used the same station as its predecessor, Thunder Express, which was removed in the previous year. The 2000s continued the exponential growth for the park, with an area called Daydream Ridge becoming Dreamland Forest. And then the following year, Dollywood made its largest expansion to date, with the addition of a new park experience, the water park, Dollywood Splash Country. This $20 million water park opened on May 19th. Situated on 25 acres near Dollywood on Middle Creek Road in Pigeon Forge, Dollywood Splash Country features a 25,000 square foot wave pool, a family raft ride, a lazy river, an interactive children's area, multi-person tube rides, 2 extreme body slides, shaded lounge areas, and a restaurant. Back at the theme park, 2004 saw the park expanded into a new valley. Thunderhead Gap opened with the creation of the park's first wooden roller coaster, Thunderhead. This Great Coasters International wooden roller coaster was billed as the wildest ride in the woods and anchored the new 5-acre expansion. We also saw the log flume removed from the park and the creation of Timber Canyon, including Timber Tower, a Huss Topple Tower ride, and its capstone, the $17.5 million Gerstlauer Steel Coaster, Mystery Mine. Shortly after, the park continued expanding with Wilderness Pass, featuring River Battle, a Mack Rides River Battle ride, and Adventure Mountain, a multi-story climbing and ziplining adventure. This also officially connected the two valleys together near Tennessee Tornado. The 2010s saw even more record investments, such as the replacement of Dreamland Forest with the Owens Farm and Barnstormer, an S&S Scream and Swing. In 2012, a new Balaguer and Mabillard wing coaster, America's first, was built on top of the mountain between the two valleys with Wild Eagle. Timber Tower also closed after issues with the ride model and lawsuit this year. 2 years later, the park replaced Adventure Mountain, already, with Fire Chaser Express, another Gerstlauer steel coaster, this one that launched forwards and backwards. 2015 brought Dollywood's Dreammore Resort and Spa, which made the park into a destination resort experience. The following year brought the famous Rocky Mountain Construction hybrid coaster, Lightning Rod, which became well known for being the single largest attraction, investment in the company's history at $22 million. And being both the world's fastest wood coaster and the world's first launching wood coaster, until the launch was replaced with a speed chain in 2024. 2017 marked more changes with a new freefall experience in Timber Canyon, Dropline, on the site of the former Timber Tower. This year also saw River Battle take its last riders before being removed. The end of this decade also earmarked the largest expansion in the park's history, with Wildwood Grove, including Dragonflyer, a Vekoma roller coaster, and several flat rides added, as well as numerous merchandise and food and beverage locations, all anchored by a singular icon, the Wildwood tree. As we grow closer to modern day, we've have to hit the stumbling block of 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic, where the resort growth paused for a moment before kicking off a big year in 2023 with Heartsong Lodge and Resort, Dollywood's second resort experience, and Big Bear Mountain, a new launched steel coaster by Vekoma. Finally, 2024 saw the opening of the Dolly Parton Experience, which refreshed a tired area of the park. And now, as we approach the present day, as 2026 gets ever closer, we have another fantastic experience to look forward to: Hidden Hollow Aviation. Wildwood Grove will get another fantastic attraction. We will have to see what exactly is coming to the park in the coming months, as Dollywood is yet to offer specifics, but according to Eugene Naughton, the current president, this will be the largest and most expansive attraction in the park's long history. Throughout the history of Dollywood, we can see that a guiding principle has been Dolly's legacy, but also the legacy of all of the Appalachian mountain people who call the Great Smoky Mountains home. Sharing their stories, crafts, and food has been the foundation of what makes Dollywood so unique. We can be certain that in the years to go, and as Dollywood continues to change, this foundation will remain as it has been for the last 40 seasons, and the past 64 years since Rebel Railroad and the little engine that could, Klondike Katy, chugged her way up the mountain and back. All right, so welcome back to the episode. Today we're going to be continuing our conversation on Dollywood. So I've hoped you've learned something from that first portion of the episode, and this portion will be dedicated to kind of talking about the park as just kind of an ad lib. This is just me chatting to you about the park. So first I want to kind of take you there. I need you to go there so that we can talk about what type of experience that you might be interested in when visiting the park. So first of all, I think it's important to know that Dollywood has a very special term that they like to use, and that it's a very special place. To me, Dollywood is very unique. It's unique from going to any other theme park that I've been to. In fact, I believe there's only one other place I've ever been that's very similar to Dollywood in the feel that I got when I was there, and that's in Europe, actually. If you've ever heard of Europa Park, that is the park that kind of was similar to me as Dollywood. Now, if you've been there, you're probably going to be like, that's crazy. That's a crazy comparison. But it's just the feeling. It's the feeling of a place that's been built up over time, a place that's had a lot of love put into it, a lot of thought, while also a lot of ingenuity to create new things. That's what this park is. And so Dollywood is well known for something that they don't even really tell people about, but I actually learned about it when I was visiting Dollywood this spring on a professional trip where I met a few of the major players at Dollywood. And something they mention is that Dollywood is founded on the idea of something called heartspitality. It's, of course, a made-up word that they use as a company to kind of talk to guests in a different way, to speak to guests in a way that they would want to be spoken to, and to kind of connect to guests in a different way. So if you think about it, if you break the word down, hospitality is the main part of this word. And that is the expectation that when a guest visits a location, they should feel welcome. They should feel like they are at home, and that's what they are there. And then the part of it that's heart is that we should be leading our guests with our hearts. So, and that's kind of what Dollywood's, idea is to lead with hospitality. Lead with heart and good hospitality. We are welcoming you to our home. That's why they are called hosts. And so that's the important part I think I really want you to understand before we get to talking about Dollywood, is that they kind of lead from a different perspective. They lead from that perspective of compassion, of love, kindness, and just overwhelming friendliness, because that's the Tennessee way. That's truly the Smoky Mountain way. And Dollywood is a celebration of Smoky Mountain heritage. It's Smoky Mountain people. And that's what I really think is unique about Dollywood. Dollywood, before Dolly, as you heard in the history portion, before Dolly, it was a lot of kind of a Western theme while also still focusing on that Smoky Mountain people aspect, the Appalachian people aspect. And I think Dolly really fell in love with that idea when she visited the park and was able to kind of hang out here and explore it. She realized that this place really did kind of echo some of the history of the Great Smoky Mountains, and she wanted to really expand upon that with anything that she was able to do. And so she wanted to build a park that was pretty much the same park, but then she ended up partnering with Herschel Family Entertainment to create what we see today as Dollywood. Now, before I get too far off the rails, let's go ahead and get started and kind of talk about the park as it is today. So imagine that you're driving into the Great Smoky Mountains. You're driving across the main parkway, and you're seeing all of this flashy tourist locations, lots of big hotels, fancy attractions. You've got go-kart tracks around every corner. And suddenly you're on the way to Dollywood. You pass the yellow house, which unfortunately no longer is managed by Dollywood, but it's still there. And the billboard that's been well known since the Silver Dollar City days, and possibly even before that, as kind of the entrance point into Dollywood. So you go onto Dollywood Boulevard and then work your way back onto what's known as Veterans Parkway. So as you keep driving back there, you realize you're kind of going out off of the main road. There's really nothing back here. There's a 4-lane highway here, but there's really just small houses, small little shops, and a few cabins here and there. And suddenly you approach the Dollywood sign. And the Dollywood sign stands out. It's by itself, and you can see there's a large parking lot, but you really can't see the park from here. That's the hidden magic of Dollywood, is that it's how Disneyland is separated from the world through a berm. Walt Disney World is separated from the world by the monorail. Dollywood is separated by really nestling the park deep, deep, deep in the mountains in a way that you can't see anything but the Great Smoky Mountains in the distance from anywhere in the park. So as you approach the Dollywood sign, you drive on past it. It's kind of this rustic, fashionable new look of a sign. You pull into the parking lot and you meet your first host, and that's the parking host. As you approach the parking booth, they welcome you with a kind heart, a kind smile. Welcome to Dollywood, and you're already on the road to a good day. So after you've whether showed your annual pass, if you're me, or you've paid your parking fee, you go ahead and drive on in, park, and then you can board one of the courtesy trams to the main entrance from the parking lot. Now, Dollywood has this courtesy tram system to where you can board it, and it takes you right to the front entrance, and then you are able to go through security and through the ticket turnstiles at that point. But that's the first kind of introduction to the friendliness of the hosts who work here in the parking lot, because these are the first people that new guests are meeting. These are the first Dollywood employees that the guests are actually encountering if they just drive in off the street, the parking team. And so it's very important that this parking team is super friendly, super welcoming, and they're genuine about it. So your parking host will be spieling over the tram about the day at Dollywood and what to expect when you get in the park. And that's a good start. And they really are super welcoming and friendly to make sure that everyone that can get on a tram, and then that way they can take you up in one big clump. Once you get to the entrance, you begin to walk. You go through the security, which is, again, very friendly, but it's a security checkpoint. Many theme parks have these now. Most of them do, actually. But as you proceed forward, you start to glimpse some of Dollywood. You start to see this almost Victorian-style building, which is the Dollywood Emporium, and then you start to see some of the beautiful landscaping and decorations on these buildings as you approach the ticket building, and then you approach the main entrance, and you see the large Dollywood sign sitting just beyond that turnstile point, and then you speak with your first official park kind of entrance employee, the one scanning your ticket. So let's say you scan your ticket and you go on in, and you get your first glimpse at Show Street, the main entrance of Dollywood. Now, as we learned from the history portion of the episode, Show Street wasn't always here. This actually used to be part of the parking lot, probably at some point, but the main entrance was far deeper inside the park. And in the 90s, they decided they wanted to, well, late 80s, early 90s, they decided they wanted to kind of have a grand new entrance to the park, and that's where Show Street came from. It was, what would a town look like if it was built by Dollywood? And that was the thought. So, of course, Show Street has your basics, such as your confectionery or bakery, which has your Starbucks in it. It has a candy kitchen. It has a lot of other smaller things. It has an emporium, which is it serves as the exit for the park, which is a very unique thing because you always hear exit through the gift shop, but you never actually exit the park through the gift shop. But that's the exit, and it always has been since this area of the park was built. And that still is incredibly unique for a theme park to have the exit through the gift shop, even to this day. And now here's where we make our decisions, and that's the beginning of the park in Show Street, because this is where you have to decide what are your goals for your day at Dollywood. Now, I've visited Dollywood enough times to kind of understand how this park works, how it kind of operates on a daily basis. I will tell you that most guests will go towards whatever the newest thing in the park is first because they want to ride it. They want to ride whatever's new because most guests who return to Dollywood are actually returning guests, which means a very high likelihood you will become a returning guest. Don't be afraid. This is a beautiful place to be a returning guest to, and it's not that expensive. Even today, versus prices at, Walt Disney World or Universal, Dollywood's very reasonable. Like, you can get a season pass for like around $150. And that's for the entire year. So like a season at Dollywood's usually goes between March and December. So that's a large chunk of the year. You're only missing 3 months from the year from making it an annual pass. But I digress. So you need to decide where you're going first and what your goals are. So let's say there are 3 paths. There is the path where you are here for the coasters and the rides. That's all you're interested in. You have no interest in shows or experiences within Dollywood. You're here to ride whatever rides you can get on. So you have that person, the thrill seeker. The second person, the second line of thought, might be the shows. So you're here to see all of the entertainment that Dollywood has to offer and ride some of the classic attractions. This means you're much more lower key. You're here for the vibes. You may be here for the snacks. That might be a thing. The next thing might be you just want to take it as you go. Like, you want a just chill day of exploring the park as it reveals itself into you. So we're going to take a look at each path and kind of tell you what you should do from this first beginning entrance. And that's when you first enter the park, what should be your first step? Now, if you're taking step 1 and you're going to be the thrill seeker and you're going to be the one looking to ride as many roller coasters as possible, as many rides as possible, then this route will be for you. You're going to make the left. Yep, the left, and go up through Timber Canyon and Wilderness Pass with continuing service to Wildwood Grove, Wilderness Pass, and Craftsman's Valley. So this is kind of the excitement of starting the park. So let's say you go up this way and you're going to visit. I recommend, this is my recommendation based on the current climate in the park. I do not know what things will look like once NightFlight Expedition opens, which is the new one, the new attraction that Dollywood just unveiled this past week, but has been teasing for months. I don't really know how the park will change, but as I said, typically the guests will go straight for whatever the newest attraction is in the park so that they can get in line for that first. Now, you can take that advice if you like. This direction will actually lead you up there because NightFlight Expedition will be located inside Wildwood Grove, which is up in this area of the park. But let's say just a normal everyday, you're not that, riveted to getting to NightFlight Expedition right away. Instead, you want to just take the park as you go. And I highly recommend that. As someone who has visited this park quite a lot, I recommend that with Dollywood, you should visit the park in order. Do not circle around. Do not come back to a spot. Do not say, well, I'll come back here later. Because whether you realize it or not, you're actually climbing a mountain all the way up until you hit Wild Eagle. Once you hit Wild Eagle, you're going down a mountain again. Wild Eagle is the highest point in the park that you can actually physically walk to. And that makes it a very interesting spot because it's the peak. It's the highest point for you to walk up to. So keep that in mind. And if you're not a big mountain climber, you're going to become one when you visit Dollywood. Now, my recommendation is to start with Thunderhead. That's the first roller coaster that you'll come to. It's also the golden ticket winner for the #1 wooden roller coaster for several years early in its time. And it's still definitely one of my favorite wooden roller coasters anywhere in the world that I've ridden so far. And I will constantly come back to Thunderhead and say, this is my favorite wooden roller coaster, hands down. Like, that's just the way it is. I don't really care what you have to say if you're a roller coaster enthusiast, because this is my favorite coaster. You can have your own favorite, but I will say Thunderhead will always be in that top, like, 5. Now, other coasters may come and go, but I really do believe that Thunderhead is one of my top. After Thunderhead, I recommend that you visit, if you're going to do Dropline, which is the next attraction on your way up this area. Dropline is the drop tower. Now, if you're not interested in the drop tower, keep going. Your next attraction should be Mystery Mine, which is the next attraction on the list, or kind of the next one as you climb. Do Mystery Mine. Just go ahead and get it done. Ride it, and explore it. It is a really fun attraction. I have always loved Mystery Mine. The story is fascinating to me, and the fact that they've kept up with it all of these years, and it's still a story that really rings true for the Appalachian Mountains and for the Great Smoky Mountains. So for me, that one hits really close to home because I have family members who worked in coal mines, and these are actually like legends that coal mines were known for. So it's real. This is not just fake stuff. Although this specific story is definitely fictitious, it's still very fascinating to ride it. Next, I would recommend, because it's next up as you climb the mountain, is to go ahead and visit Wildwood Grove. Do everything that you're interested in doing in Wildwood Grove. Focus your time on Big Bear Mountain, Dragonflyer, and the new NightFlight Expedition whenever it opens in 2026. You can also experience several of these flat rides up here as well. These are some fun kiddie rides, or slash flat rides. They're just kind of general flat rides. I definitely recommend that you do Black Bear Run, I believe it's called. It's the kind of the bear ride that you can ride on the back of a bear on a little track. It's such a cute ride, and they actually allow adults to ride this one. So this type of ride design is not typically ridden by adults. So keep that in mind, but it is really fun nonetheless. As you continue up the mountain, your next thing should be Fire Chaser Express, then Wild Eagle, because that's in order, and then Tennessee Tornado, Blazing Fury, and then finally you'll hit Daredevil Falls. At that point, you only have one more roller coaster in the park to experience, and that's Lightning Rod. But that's at the very, very, very front of the park. So after you do Daredevil Falls, I recommend that if you want to visit the Owens Farm and ride Barnstormer, this is the time to do so. But otherwise, head over into the Village, which is where the train depot is, and go ahead and get on the Dollywood Express. Choose whatever the next train time is, and just get on the ride. Get on the train, because this is a classic. This is from Rebel Railroad, so this attraction has been here since the park started. So do this attraction. Make sure you do. And if you are lucky enough to get behind Klondike Katie, understand that she's the original. She's the OG. So make sure you ride behind that locomotive if you can. But don't worry, Cinderella is just as beautiful as Klondike Katie. Next up, I would explore the Country Fair. Now, this area has a lot of older flat rides, but it does have some classic flat rides, like a scrambler, like a classic scrambler. I love a classic scrambler. So if you're into that, definitely check it out. There's also a swing ride over here, called the Waltzing Swinger. I love this one as well. And make sure you explore some of these other areas. The other attraction in this area is also the Dollywood River Rampage, otherwise known on the park map, I believe, is just River Rampage, and the Smoky Mountain River Rampage. There's lots of names for this attraction, but regardless, it's a whitewater rafting ride, and so I do recommend this one. This one is a pretty unique one, and is actually one of the older attractions in the park, so definitely try to visit this one as well. Then you can make your way over to Jukebox Junction, where you can experience the Rockin' Roadway, which is a pretty unique electric car ride, and then Lightning Rod. By then, you've actually done all of the roller coasters and the rides in the park, well, at least most of them. And I highly recommend that that's kind of how you tackle your day, so that after that, you can kind of explore whatever you're else looking for. Now, if you're choosing going back to that original first choice, and you're like, actually, I'm not here for the rides, I'm here for the shows, then I highly recommend that you pick up a Times Guide. This is usually located in the map racks at the front of the park, or you can speak to the Time Saver office, that should be in this general area as well. Speak with a host there, and they can help point you in the right direction for how to tackle the park to get in every single performance that is operating that day. Dollywood does this really great thing where they create a show schedule for the week, and it's all printed, and they print it for guests to have and carry with them. And on every single show, there's a highlighted time for each day. The highlighted time is the time they recommend that you explore the park in order to enjoy every single show. So if you follow them from the earliest show all the way to the late show of each, whatever it is, you will be able to experience every single show in the park, or every single performance in the park. So Dollywood does the work for you. It's really easy. So you're going to take a right, and you're going to head continuing through Show Street, and you're going to start exploring those shows and those amphitheaters throughout the park. Now, most of the theater shows are actually located in the lower areas of the park, so you don't have to do a lot of climbing. There is only one show that's up near the top of the mountain, and that's the Wings of America show, which is the Eagle show. So if you're not super interested in seeing the Wings of America show, then you can just skip that one and move on to the others. But it's a great show nonetheless, because you get to learn quite a bit about wild eagles, which is from the Eagle Sanctuary here that is so famous from the 90s. Now, if you're that third person at the park entrance and you're like, oh, I just want to go with the flow, well, then I still would recommend that you take the right path. Go through Show Street, and then take the first right you come to and go through Dolly Parton Experience and into Jukebox Junction. Do everything that you want in these areas, and then continue on throughout your journey. The reason I say that is because Jukebox Junction is typically an area of the park that is kind of off to the side. There's really no direct route through here. You have to have a reason to go over here, and typically that reason is Lightning Rod, but regardless, it's still a great spot to go visit and explore, and I like to do it first. I like to start there first. I've always had good luck starting there first. You can get Lightning Rod done if you're interested in that, and then you can continue around the park in kind of a more normal way. And this is actually kind of the way the park was kind of built in a way. It's similar to that park expansion. And as you work your way around the country fair, the village, you ride the train, you see a couple shows, you get your cinnamon bread at the grist mill, you visit Owen's farm behind the grist mill, you proceed up Craftsman's Valley, you watch a lot of the crafts demonstrations, which is part of the park's history. And then you proceed on up into the upper areas of Craftsman's Valley, and then start proceeding into Wilderness Pass, Wildwood Grove, Timber Canyon, and beyond into Thunderhead Gap. And then you circle your way back to the park exit. I find that this is typically the most interesting way of doing the park, because you kind of do it the way that the park was built, and that's built to go that direction. They only connected Thunderhead Gap to the front of the park at a certain period of time when Thunderhead was being built. So typically, I would say that this area is kind of a it's kind of a cheat code, I guess, to the park. But I really do believe that this is a really well thought out way of going around the park. If you're not super interested in riding rides and you're just kind of here for the vibes and you're just going to hit what you hit when you walk by it, then I do believe that this route going up through Craftsman's Valley is probably the smartest route, because you hit all of the areas of the park that kind of get dark and lose their power at the nighttime and the evenings, because the rides continue to run all the way to park closing. While some of the shows and experiences that are in the original areas of the park and Rivertown Junction and beyond typically kind of quiet down in the evening. So Dollywood actually plans this out for several of its festivals, but one in particular that I know of. During the Harvest Festival, all of the harvest festivities are typically located in the Rivertown Junction, Craftsman's Valley, Country Fair areas of the park. At nighttime, the nighttime event for during the Harvest Festival is the Great Pumpkin Luminites. And Great Pumpkin Luminites is located at the top of the park and in Wildwood Grove and Thunderhead Gap and Timber Canyon. All of these areas are full of jack-o'-lanterns that have been themed to different things around that area. So Dollywood already kind of prescribes this design as the way you should explore the park with how some of these festivals kind of run. Now, speaking of festivals, I really haven't talked much about that, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Regardless of that, that's kind of how you should explore the day and kind of tackle the day, especially during certain seasons of the year when Dollywood has drone shows up in Wildwood Grove. Then maybe nighttime is a great time to be up in that area, in that general area of the park. So, as I said, I mentioned slightly about festivals. Dollywood is well known for its seasonal festivals and seasonal festivities, and that's because they're well known. Over the years, Dollywood has had an array of different types of festivals available for guests to experience. From festivals probably as well known as the Festival of Nations, which no longer happens at Dollywood. They've actually changed it to the I Will Always Love You Festival. But typically, there's a lot of changes when it comes to festivals. But one of the longest running festivals is the Smoky Mountain Christmas Festival. This one has been running since the early 1990s and continues to grow every single year in the number of lights throughout the park and into the what's available around the park. So this area and these types of festivals are well known. There's typically always a fall festival of some kind that includes some of your typical harvest themes. And then we've had Great Pumpkin Luminites in the last several years. I don't even know when this started, but it's only grown since it started. And then we have a few summer festivals. We have these Summer Nights experience, the Summer Celebration / there's so many names that this has had over the years. We have the Barbecue and Bluegrass Festival, which was an older fall festival. There used to be a Gospel and Harvest Celebration. That's what it was called. So Dollywood has changed the names of these experiences quite a bit. And then we also have the Flower and Food Festival, which is something that still happens to this day. It was created in recent years to celebrate some of the food of Dollywood. And Dollywood has been growing up their palate over the years from just greasy Southern food to being more healthy options so that guests can have options in their day. Depending on what their kind of appetite calls for, there may be an option available throughout the park. So great on Dollywood for doing that. But there's lots of great festivals for you to enjoy no matter what time of year you're visiting Dollywood. And I highly recommend that you just kind of see which one's going to be happening during your visit, because that will truly change how you explore the park. And with that, I think I've covered a lot of what you should do at Dollywood. I will say their performances, their shows are absolutely phenomenal, out of this world experiences. There's no really other place anywhere in the world that I know of that has as much entertainment as Dollywood does. Even Disney doesn't really have the same level of entertainment that Dollywood does. And over the years, there's been some big names who used to play here. Some big acts used to be here, especially at the Dolly Parton Celebrity Theater. But over the years, that kind of popularity has waned. However, Dollywood's original show contents have not. If you're here during like Smoky Mountain Christmas, every single theater has a special presentation show that people line up hours in advance to see. So Dollywood is a great place to visit, and there's so many things that you can do here. You can try lots of different types of foods. You can try so many different, crafts out. I mean, we've got a blacksmith shop, a glass blowing shop, candle workshop. You've got a hat shop where you can learn leather. You've got a wood carving shop where you can learn how to carve wood. They used to have a carriage works where you can build you could see a carriage being built from square one. There used to be a lye soap experience where you can learn how to make soap. So there's so many different crafts. And then during the Harvest Festival, they also do additional crafts. They have different people from around the Smoky Mountains come in, showcase their own crafts, which can vary from basket weaving to felt hat making and to beyond. There's so many different things that you can do at Dollywood, and I truly believe that this place is truly unique. And I don't know of any other theme park anywhere in the world that operates kind of on the same idea as Dollywood. So I highly recommend that you follow one of these tricks and one of these like plans that I've outlined. But if you choose not to, then that's on you at this point. I'm just kidding. If you choose not to, then I highly recommend you just enjoy yourself. Dollywood's a fantastic place to explore, fantastic place to enjoy, and you'll get so much out of it if you just explore it. So without further ado, that's going to be the end of this segment. But I hope you've enjoyed my chat with Dollywood, and we'll see you in the next park. But let's see what's up next.